at 10:30 here at the City Hall complex. We'll now proceed to item 2 on the agenda, the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Massey, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. Danitza, we are now under item 3, the call to the public. Do you have any requests?
None at this time, Chairman Barona.
Okay. Just a quick update. Judith, could you please give a quick update on the microphone for everybody, please?
Sure. It was called to my attention this morning by our IT supervisor, Jose Contreras. He just let us know, he wanted us to know that we should not move the microphone closer to our mouth when speaking, that there's a gain between the distance from the microphone to when we speak. So, mine's off. So we don't need to really bring the mic towards us. Just leave it where it's at. Just make sure to push it on when it's your turn.
So this distance is fine?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. We'll now proceed to item 4 on the agenda, discussion items. Item number 1, email protocol. Juanita Havil. Juanita?
Yes, thank you. I had asked Denisa to put this on the agenda because I would like some clarification. My understanding was that you could send emails to all of the board members if it did not involve deliberation or voting or information that would be deliberated upon later. And I thought that we could just send factual information, and apparently not. So if someone could clarify that for me, I would really appreciate it.
Juanita, I've asked the city attorney to be here present,
perfect.
Mr. Massey. Mr. Massey is also acting as acting city manager. Also, he has a dual roles, but he's taken the time to come over here to make sure we don't get into any problems with the open meeting law. Welcome, Mr. Massey, and thank you for serving our country, Mr. Massey.
Oh, thank you, Chairman Barona, and thank you for inviting me. Actually, I think Chairman and members of the Board of Trustees, I think your original understanding, Ms. Havel, is consistent with my understanding. But let me be very clear, because one thing can bleed into the other. So there are a few items that will be on your agenda occasionally for consideration and approval, or consideration and recommendation. So those are what we would call action items. And so when something has already been placed on the agenda, or when something has the potential of being on the agenda for your consideration, deliberation, and possible approval or recommendation to the city council, or recommendation to the library director, then yes, those discussions that you're having can be considered deliberations of, action items. And all deliberations under the open meeting laws in Arizona have to occur in public. So it's appropriate to limit deliberations to the public meeting itself. And so what could happen where you could run afoul of the open meeting law, let's say Ms. Lopez puts an item on the agenda and she gives an email to all of you to say this item is coming up for your consideration next month, and then one of you replies, instead of replying just to Ms. Lopez, replies to all. And if you hit a reply to all, so this is where you have to be very sophisticated on technology, between replying to a staff member that's originating the email versus replying to all. And if you reply to all, and if it happens to be a topic that will be coming before you for deliberation and recommendation, then yes, that can be a problem, because now if you reply to all and you say, I think this is a great idea, you look forward to voting for it, what are you doing? You're now, and if you hit reply to all, you're now kind of lobbying in a sense your fellow board members, and if it involves more than a quorum, especially if it's, so I would imagine something like that, it would hit all the board members. that's a problem because the deliberation that's going on is not in a public forum. Your emails can be requested as public documents, but in general, that's not going to be considered a public forum. So that is again a distinction of an item that will come before you for action, but that could just be like, I want to recommend someone to be a trustee, or I want to recommend someone to be continued as a trustee because your recommendations go to the county or go to the city on that. And so even saying, I like this guy or this woman, and I think she should stay on board. I'm looking forward to voting for her recommendation next month. Yeah, don't hit reply to all on that. So that is I think that confirms what you just said, Ms. Havel. Am I saying that correctly? Okay. But there are another categories, so there's many other categories of conversations that you could have. I see that Ms. Lopez has something on the agenda as a raffle or something like that. And if you want to talk among yourselves, how do I get a raffle book? Or, I need to, or I've been selling raffle tickets over here. Other people should join me and we can sell a bunch of raffle tickets together or something like that. See, I would look at that as you're just executing something that has already been decided, and it's just issues of logistics. But you have to be, it may not be the best thing to do to engage in those conversations by email because it's not a public forum, but you're not talking, it's very, very clear on that situation. You're not talking about something that is coming before the board for consideration and possible action or recommendation. So I would say that is permitted, but I say that because I trust you, and I think it's a easy concept to understand. If you're going to talk about like a book sale or raffle sales or something like that, where it's at a level of just operational level or execution level, that's not going to be perceived as an open meeting violation. But if you're talking among yourselves about other topics that will come before you for recommendations and things like that, then that is going to be a violation. So I will say it's not entirely wrong to email each other on matters if it's just going to be issues of how do we get this done type of thing. But I would still want to have you include Ms. Lopez on those emails. So if she has a question about the content or the nature of those emails, she can bring it up to my attention. And we can say, yes, that's okay, or stop this right now.
Okay, but the word deliberation, you need to be careful. Right. That's the key word there.
Yes.
Juanita, have you concluded? Do you have anything else for Mr. Massey?
Let's see. So if it were factual, if you were sending factual information or simply saying that maybe one of the board members is ill and you said so-and-so is ill and won't be there, is that something?
That sounds like that would be okay because, but do include Ms. Lopez on those things. But I wouldn't say so much factual versus, let's say, policy or opinion, because factual could relate to something that could be a violation of the open meeting laws. For example, if a matter is on your agenda about recommending the approval of a continuation of a certain board member, and you could say this person hasn't attended meetings, only half of the meetings for the last year. That's purely factual, but because it relates to something that you'll be voting on, you can see how those facts could be used as a means to try to persuade people. So the facts versus opinion, I don't think that's the dichotomy that helps. It's the issue of, are you going to be voting on something? So if you've already said, okay, we're going to sell raffle tickets or we're going to sell books or something like that, and we're just coordinating among ourselves how to get that done, then I think that's okay. And you could say that that's factual, but it's relating to executing a policy or a decision that's already been made versus talking about something that's coming up and needs to have all deliberation under Arizona law needs to happen in public. So if there's any question that what you're doing could be considered deliberation, of course my advice is going to be don't do it. Don't hit those emails to all. And if you have any questions about that, contact Ms. Lopez and she'll contact me and I can give you an opinion on that. So yes, be cautious. But I am trusting that you're all good-hearted and good-minded people, that you can make those distinctions. So I won't insist that it be don't do it ever, because that's not what the law requires. But if you do it and it looks like it's a matter that is deliberative, then it is a violation. So.
And the easiest thing that I have found to keep me out of trouble or any violations is to send my email to Danitza and have Danitza send it to all of you.
Right.
And that keeps everything, and it prevents another member from accusing you of you violated the open meeting law. So that's the easiest way to do it. Do you have anything else, Juanita?
No, thank you very much. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Veronica?
I have a question because what brought this up, I responded to. So I want to be very clear, okay? And very specifically, Juanita sent an informational item to us saying, historically, this is what we did, I don't know, 10 years ago, with regards to the Centennial that's coming up. But she was giving us some historical information about what had been done previously. I sent a thank you because I had no idea. I wasn't on the board when that happened, and I found the information extremely useful, quite frankly. But that's what triggered this whole thing. So what is the issue so that I am clear about it?
Okay, this is new information to me, so I don't really understand the context of
It's a
that.
future agenda item that we will be deliberating.
See, okay, that's the question that I had as far as what the context. If there is an agenda item coming up
That's right.
where it's like, should we do this or should we do that? And if the information goes around and says, well, we did it this way or we've always done it this way, even though that's factual, it could be persuasive on that topic. See, that's the thing. So, so I'm kind of guessing here. I'm groping in the dark, and I see you nodding your head. No, that's not what's happening here.
It was listed as an agenda item on the last meeting that we had. And that's why when you get into these discussions like that, it's better to be transparent in front of the public instead of trying to look for loopholes.
If I may, this was a link.
Oh, hold on, please. You have the floor.
Okay, so what are we going to, obviously there's going to be discussions about what's going on, information about what had happened in the past with no suggestion that we should do it again. It's just look at what historically happened. That's it. That's the way I read that particular email, and it was just informational and useful. So somewhere that we went on a slippery slope that I'm not clear about.
Okay, so I'm going to throw my lawyer card down, which is I don't like giving legal opinions on fact scenarios that I'm not fully briefed on. So not knowing more, I can't really say yes or no about that, but I do validate Chairman Verona's approach, which is if it is on the agenda, shoot it over to Ms. Lopez if you know something that happened in the past, and then she can decide. Okay, it's just purely for your information. and if that's the case, then that's where the wise advice is: use staff, as the hub of the spokes. And so it's not information going around the wheel. You should have information going into the hub, which is staff, and then staff can disseminate it. That's the safer approach. I don't want to say that for certain it was not the correct thing to do, but at the same time, the better procedure is to use staff as much as you can to even avoid the appearance of impropriety. So, and that might be what we're dealing with here more than anything else, is the appearance of possible appearance even of impropriety.
Okay, Veronica, have you concluded? Nan?
Yes. Thank you for answering our questions. I have a couple of concerns regarding this. You're dealing with a basically creative group of people here who are used to brainstorming, as opposed to a more bureaucratic mindset. And so it's hard for us to make this transition. When we were conducting our meetings previously, we were not obviously conforming totally to the open meetings law in the way we discussed things in the meetings, but there was a free flow of information. This particular structure has the potential of stifling some of that discussion, even when we're here, in the sense that we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 down the line, and then the conversation sort of cuts off at that point. And people have lots of ideas bubbling to the surface. So how do you handle that kind of situation? Because I think everybody's on this board is feeling a little bit of that. And we don't want to break any laws, and we want to be able to conform and continue making progress. But putting everything in Denise's lap is also difficult. She's got a lot of stuff on her plate. So if we're feeding every little idea to her and then outward bound from there, I think it slows the process down a little bit.
Mr. Massey, if I may, please.
Yes.
I don't think that this is a bureaucratic deal. This is a state statute.
I understand
okay,
that. Right.
that we're trying to abide by. So, and the state statute does not stop the city council, the board of supervisors, this board from being creative. That's not the purpose of that state statute, to do that. You can be creative here, but don't say you're being prevented from being creative because you're not in front of the public. If elected officials treated you in that manner and wanted to hide conversations, you would object to it right away. Go ahead, Mr. Massey.
Yes, consistent with the open meeting laws and to be creative and things like that, the city council operates at times through study sessions. And so we can notice a meeting and you just have a presentation on a topic, and then you discuss, freely the topic, and there's no actual proposal that is going to be presented at that meeting. But it could be, a way of providing feedback to staff so that staff can work on something and then bring the proposal back for action. So there's that method that is consistent with the open meeting law. You just bring a topic up, a general topic for discussion on the agenda, and then allow yourselves the time and ability to, discuss it as you need. But again, under the supervision of your chairman, who needs to maintain a good orderly process of the meeting. So that's one suggestion I have. And the other one is, again, check with Ms. Lopez, and maybe the topic is not something at all that will come up in front of the board, in which case, maybe you get feedback from her and from me that, you can have, off the record discussions on something like that, because it's not related to an action item or likely to ever become an action item. But again, I'm going to be cautious on those sorts of opinions, because I'm saying, okay, go out and talk as much as you want on this item, and then maybe it does come back for formal action or deliberation or recommendation, because even if you don't take final action, if you're making a recommendation and it goes to city council for action, that's deliberation. That is something that needs to happen in public. So,
Well, is there a distinction between brainstorming and deliberation legally?
you know, it could easily bleed over.
I know, I'm
one
pushing
to
the envelope.
another. So I'm going to err on the side of caution on something like that.
All right,
I know you're saying, "Oh, I'm just brainstorming. I'm just brainstorming."
I just want to be clear. All right.
But that can cover a wide latitude of topics that could become, at some point in the future, an open meeting violation. So if you do want to brainstorm, again, an open meeting violation has to, in order to arise, has to involve a quorum of the members. And I understand there's 8 members in your board, but so we have 8 here today.
Mhm.
So if you want to say, okay, I just want to brainstorm and pick 1 or 2 of your fellow members, but then you have to make a pact that we're not going to talk with anyone else, because once we bring that 5th person in, and that 5th person can be brought in totally unknown to you. You know, that person talks to another person, and then that other person talks to another person. So that raises certain concerns on that. But so I would say, if you really want to just get together and brainstorm, put a study session together, and let's just brainstorm on something like this, and give yourself half hour, an hour, and just talk it to death, whatever you want to talk about on a topic. But if it's on an agenda that's been properly noticed, absolutely no problem.
Okay, thank you very much. What is the structure of a study session versus?
It can be very informal. That's the thing about a study session. It doesn't have to have a lot of structure.
Is that conducted in a public arena? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
but a study session would be an actual meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
Just like study sessions at the City Council are meetings, and they're noticed. And remember, meetings have to have minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're going to have a study session in this room, we can easily make a recording. But you could have a study session in another room, just that someone has to be there to take minutes, and then the minutes have to be available to the public.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, have you concluded?
I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jerry, you're next. Jerry? Oh, I can't hear you, Jerry.
No, I don't have any comment.
Thank you. Brian?
No comments.
Ed?
My question is, if a violation is determined, what's the actual penalty?
So I wouldn't necessarily be the one to make that determination that a violation has occurred, but there is an entity associated with the Attorney General's office that is in charge of doing investigations. I'm not aware that they actually investigate library boards of trustees. Usually they have enough work with school boards and county boards and city councils. So I wouldn't necessarily, frighten you with the possibility of a violation, but if it's a knowing and intentional violation, there are money fines that can be levied personally. And so the general rule of participating on a board such as this, which is a public board, and you're operating on behalf of public entity, which is the Santa Cruz and the city library, then if anything you do in the course and scope of your official actions is going to be covered by our insurance policy. So you have the coverage of our insurance policy, either ours or the county's or a combination thereof. But if you're doing something deliberate and you're doing something that violates the law on the open meetings, that's where personal liability can apply. And in a serious manner, you could be removed from office. I mean, you could be risking your voluntary role here. But so I don't want to, threaten you that as a heavy hand. It's as a practical matter, not something that needs to be kept in your mind, other than don't do it deliberately. Because if it looks like there's a knowing and deliberate violation, then you can be exposing yourself to personal liability. But the personal liability is probably in the range of a couple $100s. So it's not the end of the world, but at the same time, it's there to caution you that you should be obeying the law.
Are you concluded? Yes. Juanita, you had your hand up. Did you want to ask another question? Did you want to ask another question?
I'm assuming that study sessions must be posted on the agenda. And since it's a free-flowing discussion, as Nan said, brainstorming, what's the specificity with which you have to identify what the study session is about? And can you then branch out into other things? Because that's going to happen very easily, I would suggest.
All right, well, again, the Chairman Verona, I think you've had a number of years and years of experience on this issue. So I think you can be a good resource on how we post a topic for a study session. But the point of an agenda, so that goes back to what's the point of an agenda. The point of the agenda is to give the public fair notice of what is going to be discussed. And so if you're going to have, like, let's talk about all kinds of possible topics on how we can improve the library and how we can make the library more accessible or something like that, you can have a very broad topic on the agenda. It's just, it needs to be something that gives the public fair notice that however you want to proceed with that topic, if they were interested, they'd be here and they could, listen to it, or they could even ask to speak to the topic at call to the public or something like that. So that's all that you can properly place broad topics on the agenda. And so if there is just, we want to talk about anything and everything, our whole experience with the library and all of the ways that we think the library can and should be improved, put that as a study session. Recommended improvements to the Santa Cruz County Library.
Anything else? Okay. I am having a study session this Saturday for the Santa Cruz County Provisional Community College. But we post our agenda just like we do here, and the talks are a little bit more, not as structured as we have in our formal meeting, but in a study session, it's not, the chairman will always allow you more leeway, but never, whether it's formal or not, does anybody stop your creativity from flowing, okay? That doesn't happen. Mr. Massey, on behalf of the board, we know you are extremely busy individual carrying two positions right now. Thank you very much. And in case any member of the board is interested, the Attorney General office does offer a 3-hour open meeting law course that they will come down here for free to give us. If you're interested in that, tell Danitza and we can arrange for them to come down here. Thank you very much, Mr. Massey. We're very grateful for you taking the time and filling us in on the open meeting.
Yes, I enjoyed the opportunity to meet you all. And thank you for your service on behalf of the library. I know it's a lot of time.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. Yeah. We'll now go on to the second item. On the agenda, the security of the main library. We have with us today Lieutenant Robert Gallegos and Corporal Gerardo Patrice. Corporal Patrice is the public information officer for the Nogales Police Department, and they will give us this presentation. Welcome to the both of you.
Thank you. Oh, there it is. Morning. My name is Lieutenant Robert Gallego. I met you guys last month, and I brought with me Corporal Patrice, who is our public relations officer as well. I have very little information for you guys, I guess, which is a good thing, right? We had within the last meeting that you guys had, which is February 10th, I believe. We had one call at the library, which wasn't necessarily at the library itself. It was it could have been outside, but it had to do with transients. It was a harassment call between one transient to a couple other, or two transients harassing another transient. So necessarily anything pertaining to the library, there was no calls of service that we had for the past month there. So.
Okay. Jerry, do you have any questions for Lieutenant Gallego?
No.
Brian?
No, not at this time.
Marva?
No, thank you.
Ed?
The issues with security at the library have been in discussion the term that I've been involved with the library. And I know that it's more of Nogales issue than at the branch libraries. And I think that much of it may be related to the fact that the library has a city facility adjacent to the library grounds, which is the gazebo and that little park area. And there is transient from both sides of the border that come to that particular area. And most importantly, probably solicit use of the public facilities there, the bathroom facilities in the library. I don't know for sure, but that's been more of the discussion. And in a situation like that, I'm of the impression that if periodically during the day, of the hours of the library, say mid-morning, mid-afternoon, whatever, if a police officer would just station their vehicle at the front of the section that confronts both the library and the little park, the gazebo park, would discourage transients to come closer to the library. And we're still in discussion of how to deal with it internally. And one of the suggestions that I made was that library staff control the key to the bathroom facilities. That way they can determine in giving a public individual who doesn't have interest in the library except using the facilities would be means to be able to then call the police officer, call the police department, call 911, whichever method is more appropriate, in order to correct the situation. But if there is no physical vehicle presence with the lights on, it's more likely that transients are going to be more anxious to be able to use the facilities or whatever other circumstance occurs on the library grounds that would require security issues. That's my concern and the suggestions that we've made, and we haven't come to a solution. And I wonder if my suggestion is reasonable.
I agree with your suggestion. Obviously, deterrence is a huge part of what we do. And if we do, I mean, I wish I could station an officer there for long hours of the day. But unfortunately, I mean, we're short-staffed.
Exactly.
And right now, especially, I mean, lately, that's one of the things I was discussing with Corporal Batriz. We're coming up to staff slowly but surely. But at the same time, our profession right now is kind of difficult. No, there's not a lot of people that want to become police officers.
Right.
So, and it's not just us; it's in the whole state.
Yeah.
But one of the things, I mean, it is reasonable. One of the things that we discussed is having our officers do reports, because they have their MDBs out on the field and do the reports while they're parked there. Obviously, it could be maybe 5 to 10 minutes at sometimes because they have to go from one call to another. But that could be something we can do, as far as maybe even place a ghost vehicle, which we call it, just park it there for a couple hours.
Exactly.
We can't leave it there too long, but because then we run into people vandalizing it and all that. And sooner or later, they're going to find out it's just a vehicle that they're parking there just to deter. But I agree completely. I wish I had more personnel to have their have a person remain there more frequently, but that could be an option, and we will definitely do that. As far as I know, the key was brought up the last time. I don't know if it did happen or not, but that would be something that obviously transients are not the chances of them asking physically to the librarian, can I borrow a key, are probably that's not going to happen. They might go somewhere else instead of using the facilities there. So,
Have you concluded it?
Yes.
Okay. Juanita?
I don't suppose you have any AI robots, dogs, do you?
robot dogs? I wish. No, not at all. But I'll also instruct officers to go and just do and random checks and get off and walk around the library and outside because I believe there's like a little alley in the back, and I mean hopefully kind of help alleviate a little bit of the issues there. Like I said, we only had one call, and which is a good thing.
Veronica?
What, we have surveillance cameras anywhere at the library, inside and out, and how many, and where are they?
Yes, we have surveillance cameras. We have 4 outside and 4 inside. They're all throughout the library. Back areas, front areas.
Nan?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Are they being monitored or by anybody, like maybe after hours or something like that?
No. Unless there's an incident and we call IT, then IT goes and checks the recording, and it goes back 3 months, and then it starts over again.
Because maybe that would help also. Like, I don't know if you guys are monitoring like during the days where you guys are there, and if you guys do see a transient out there or something, maybe give us a call, and at that point we'll send an officer over there and just basically not necessarily get him ridden, but just walk around and be there for a little while, and maybe that'll get him. I'm going somewhere else to move on. Maybe that'll help a little bit.
Okay. Nan?
Yes. Thank you for coming. Keep up the good work. Quick question. This is just sort of information question. If you move an information question.
Oh.
If you move a transient from one location, you say, okay, shoe from the library.
Right.
What happens? Where do they go?
To go to somewhere else. So basically, we'll move from the library maybe a couple blocks further down. So
it becomes someone else's potential problem.
It becomes someone else's problem.
Is there any other way to handle that kind of thing, just generally?
Unfortunately, I mean, we live in the United States, and everybody's got they can live wherever they want. And I mean, we used to back in the day, a long time ago, give them a ride to the county line, but that's if they're willing and they wanted to, right? But now it becomes the county's problem. So
all right.
And they do it. They used to do it to us too. So they bring them down as well, give them a ride to our county line. So I don't know I don't think it's occurring that much as it used to, but that's what we used to. Or we'd pay for a shuttle from our pocket and have them if they wanted to go up to Tucson or Phoenix, and we'd pay for their shuttle ourselves. So.
Okay, I understand the issue. Yeah, that's a problem with no solution, really. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Lieutenant Gallego, Corporal Batriz, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate these reports that you give us. They're very helpful. They're very insightful. And we'd like to put you on the agenda every month. I know, Lieutenant, you're extremely busy, but you can also send Corporal Batriz to come up here and make the presentation also. Okay. And you'll always place you at the top of the agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Well.
Let's move on to item 3, discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of February the 10th, 22. Marva?
I move that we accept the minutes that we approve the minutes as presented.
There's a motion by Marva to approve the minutes of February the 10th as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Motion opposed, motion carries. We'll move on to item 4. Thank you, Judith, for the minutes. You do a wonderful job on that. Thank you very much. Discussion of raffle tickets for Friends of Nogales Library. Marva?
First of all, yes, thank you, Patricia. On the raffle ticket, I went ahead and got them in Tucson. The raffle started in February. As we know, last year we started late, so we only had 5 tickets apiece. This year I've distributed 10 to everybody. in hopes that we'll be able to sell them. We have till November. The raffle is actually in December, but I would want to collect stubs and everything. And you can give them to me as you get them. It's fine. You don't have to wait till November. And if you want more tickets, I also have more tickets. But I just wanted to mention that it's a great outreach for the library. Instead of just saying, do you want to buy a raffle ticket? No, you need to tell them that the library, that we have a wonderful library, and that we also have 4 libraries in Santa Cruz County. And you might mention what they are and where they are, and they need financial support. And we know right now that a lot of the 301, what is it? 501(c)(3), they're all out there selling right now. In fact, Marcy was just telling me he's already got some from another group, and I will get some from another group. So, but it is a great way to outreach the community, which is what we are always trying to do. So brag on the library before you actually try to sell the raffle tickets. And if they don't want to buy a raffle ticket, you can always say, would you like to make a donation to the library? Because we can take that too.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. Are there any questions for Marva from anybody? Okay, let's move on to item 5. Submit Jerry Smith for board reappointment. Jerry's term is expiring, and he has indicated to me that he is interested in being reappointed. So I'm going to be directing Danitza to submit Jerry's name to the members of the Nogales City Council for reappointment. And I'm also advising the members and council through Danitza that the entire board is supportive of Jerry being reappointed. Okay? Jerry, do you concur?
Thank you, yes.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
I have a question.
Absolutely. We don't.
Just a quick question. We have a board member at large, and then you're the 2 back, and so on. No, you're the member at large. What is Jerry? Where's Jerry's assignment? What?
Nogales.
Nogales.
Oh, he is Nogales. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda, update on Centennial celebration. Danitza?
I brought this up because I will be asking for it at the upcoming budget. I did pass along a Nogales Public Library chronology, more or less, and I do want input from the board. On who's going to be on the committee, what are we going to do, and just to hear back from you so I know what I'm going to be asking for in the upcoming budget. Since I haven't, since last meeting, nothing came up. I do need an update. If you guys do want to go through with it, what you guys want to do. Are you not able to hear me? So I need to know what you guys want to do, so I know what to ask for in the budget. Because nobody reached out to me during this past month, on forming a committee or anything. So I'm all ears. I just do want to know that it is something that the board does want to do.
At the last meeting, we had this listed on the agenda because we're going to appropriate, and I've notified the acting city manager and the county manager. We're going to appropriate this year $10,000 for the Centennial celebration, and next year another $10,000, okay? So we were going to have a committee to see who wanted to be on the committee to make a recommendation of what we should have as a strategic plan for this celebration to be approved by the entire library board. But we didn't have consensus. I thought, Nan, you were going to get together with Danitza on that, and Danitza told me you didn't get together with her.
I think speak. Okay, I think I was. I think it got out of my radar from the standpoint that I guess I was waiting for it to come from the library to me. I'm not the chairperson of this. I'm just
we were going to have a committee. I was going to appoint a committee.
Right.
The chairman can appoint a committee. The only problem here again is when we have a committee, you're governed by the open meeting law, okay?
Okay.
So you still have to publicize the agenda and everything in that manner. So Do you want to have a committee? Somebody want to volunteer? Do we have a chairman for the committee? We need to start putting these. I can't go to have Danitza go to the boards, supervisors, and the city council, and some member asks, well, what are you going to use the money for? And she doesn't have a response. Hey, it's easier if she's able to respond and say, the library board has made these recommendations. Marva?
Will Denitza be present at the Friends meeting that's immediately after this? Because that's on our agenda, and we will have pre-discussion of that. And if Denitza's there, that's where we could share a lot of ideas for celebration.
Well, I don't know if Danitza's there. I know she's shorthanded at the
She said
library.
yes, she was.
So I don't know if she can go today. But here again, I can put this item on the agenda, and you can get together if you're interested in being on the committee, and we can list it that these people will be appointed to the Centennial Committee to make recommendations, let's say in 90 days, to the library board on what we should plan for the Centennial celebration. The Centennial celebration officially begins when? Next year or this year?
Next year.
Next year, so
Right.
we still have time to do this. Is that the way you would like to proceed? Brian?
Mr. Verona, I'm willing to serve on the committee
Okay, put Brian.
for openers.
Anybody else is willing to serve? Nan and Ed, 3 people? Marva, okay, that's a good number right there, 4 people, okay? All right, and yes, Brian?
Suggestion, let's call a meeting. Let's call a meeting of the library director and the 4 individuals who have volunteered. Poll the directors, poll the volunteers, find out when is a convenient time and call the meeting and publish the meeting per the open meeting laws, and we'll take step 1.
Okay, so I can't do anything officially, but I will direct Danitza to that. I will name the committee of Brian, Marva, Ed, and Nan to the Centennial Committee with basically the objective to make recommendations to the entire board. How about the celebration, okay? And Brian, you will be the chairman.
Brian will be the chairman, did you say?
Brian. Okay. Anything else on this subject? Ed?
We were going to raise that as part of our agenda because it was brought up by our members and friends. And then once we discussed it, we were going to go with a presentation to Danitza to see part of the idea that was even suggested is have the whole year, not just one celebration, but it be a monthly event that could be worked out. But anyway, the ideas were being generated by the membership of Friends. So we have a committee now appointed by the chair that we can work with and take it on from there. No problem.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda, library board goals. Danitza.
Bringing this up once again, it's just to remind everyone to promote their specific library. I know Ed is going to write an article for the newspaper to promote the library system. Dr. Varona has set up presentations where I've gone to the Lions Club and the school district. Brian and Marva went to talk with Bethany. Nothing big. It's just promoting the library system. It's nothing over the top. So I know we still have Rio Rico Library to go in Sonoita. It's just even taking a library card out to the community somewhere, picking up a brochure, taking it somewhere. That's all. That's it.
Okay. Any questions, Brian?
Yes, I would like for you to arrange a visit out to the Sonoita Library. I would like to go. Perhaps another board member could go also.
Got it.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? Okay, I'm going to move on to item 5. Board reports. Current event summary must be brief, and there cannot be any proposals, discussion, deliberation, or legal action taken. Jerry.
I have no comment at this time.
Brian.
Nothing.
Marva. Ed.
Last Thursday, we had a meeting with the Friends of the Patagonia Library. Very good discussion of friends exchanging ideas and got input and direction. But I was very encouraged that we had an open dialogue with the Patagonia Library and the initiative that Juanita took to be able to reach out to them and work it out. So we're continuing to work on that.
Good to hear that, Ed. Thank you. Juanita? Veronica? Nan?
No, thank you.
I would just like to report that I attended the Dr. Seuss Day at the library. It was wonderful to see all those little kids there. Wonderful. And then I walked out. The kids were so happy with the books that they were able to take. They were having such a good time. I walked out and they were with a piñata. They got cupcakes. They broke a piñata. Except I noticed that more parents were eating the candies than the kids were, but it was wonderful. It was a wonderful, Danita, you did a wonderful job. It was well organized. And what I really enjoyed the most is that, a lot of kids get hurt in a piñata and they kept the kids away. I noticed the safety protocols that were in place there. But the parents value the library of bringing kids while they're young to the library to read and find books. And I also want to report that at the last Nogales Unified School District Governing Board, Danitza made a wonderful presentation. Matter of fact, it was so good that the superintendent indicated that he wants to recruit Danitza to work for Nogales Unified School District. So that's all my report. We'll now go on to item 6, Library Director's Report. Marv? Yes.
I just wanted to know how many kids showed up for the Dr. Seuss thing.
We had 18 children.
That's great. And the parents were with them probably?
Yes.
And did you give them each a book to take home?
There was a book giveaway. So they came in, they played a little Dr. Seuss game, and they got a book.
And did you buy those from the budget?
Through our budget, through the library's budget.
Great. I think that's wonderful.
We'll now move on to item 6 on the agenda, Library Director's Report. We're going to start with the early childhood education. Danitza?
Early Childhood Education Month was in February, another successful year. Staff attended the Child Care Providers Resource Fair. They spoke about the various library services, and through that resource fair, we were able to get the parents that came to the Dr. Seuss Day. So that was a very good outreach program to do. The Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Chris Young, he interviewed us, and we were on social media. That we were viewed over more than 300 times at the We Love Nogales social media page. It's just another great way to promote the libraries, promote early childhood education, and partner with the school superintendent's office. That's that for early childhood education, and I'm going to go on to the lights. The lights were installed the week of February 14th, and that helped tremendously to deter transients and vagrants and things that they were doing outside the library. So the light installation, if you're ever in Nogales after 5 p.m., you're going to see that you can see the library now. So the light, you can see the name, everything. So the lights are in the front and in the back. That's it for that one. We have partnered with Embry Health, and we are offering free COVID testing, and that's permanent or until needed. So we're another site for COVID testing. Next. Dr. Seuss Day, as was mentioned by Dr. Barona, and I did want to say that it was our first in-person program in 2 years. So we were very happy because we didn't know if people were going to show up, and they did, which was great. And the kids and the parents left happy with their books and all the other little activities we had for them. National Library Week is going to come up April 3rd through the 9th, and the theme this year is Connect with Your Library. Staff at various libraries have begun to, each library is going to have a little activity. We are working on the flyer, and we do want anything that the Friends or the library wants to include on that flyer, we'll include it, whether it's a book again or anything else, we'll include it. That's it for... I do want to add that we're also going to be having a week-long event, March 21st. The week of March 21st is World Down Syndrome Day. So we're going to be working with Maria Skolnik, who's she's a parent liaison for the Down syndrome families here in the county. So be on the lookout for that on our social media page in the next couple of weeks.
I think that's.
Does anybody have any questions for the director?
Denise, since you did have a first in-person activity, thank goodness. I was so grateful. Tell me how you promoted it, please.
It was through our early childhood education through that resource fair. We also sent flyers to the schools, to the Boys and Girls Club, to the local chamber. So it's just, and through social media and word of mouth. So that's how.
Okay. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for the director? Ed?
Yes, Danitza, in making my suggestion on the staff controlling the key to the facilities, have you had an opportunity to discuss it with the staff and with the city? Is it something that's reasonable, or am I making an unreasonable suggestion?
Hold on. Ed, you can only ask questions on what the director's reports were on.
On the specifics of the report.
You could have asked that question when we discussed it with her, but only on her reports you can ask questions.
No. Okay.
All right, Nan, you were next.
Yes, on the National Library Week flyer that you're doing, what's your cutoff date for any ideas coming from us?
March 25th.
March 25th?
Please, yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, then we're going to move on to item 7, future agenda items. Under future agenda items, Jerry?
Nothing.
Brian?
Yes, I have 3 items for the future agenda.
Okay.
I would like the Centennial Committee report to be presented not only in April, but every month.
What was that again, I did?
The Centennial Committee report.
Oh, so you want it as a permanent item on the
I want it as a
agenda?
permanent item.
Okay, we'll put that.
That's one item. The second item I would like is 60 days ago when Miss St. John participated in the meeting, she said there would be a community meeting in Sonoyta to discuss the renovation of the building and the expansion of the library. I would like the library director and the board president to write a letter to Miss St. John and find out when that meeting will be.
We can call her with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the third item I would like on the agenda, regretfully, my future agenda item that was posted in the minutes was not placed on today's meeting. I will read. Brian Vendor would like to discuss hours and scheduling the library, what the obstacles are in rearranging current staffing schedules to accommodate extended hours. I would like that on the April agenda.
That will be on the April agenda, Brian. I take responsibility for that because I make the agendas. You're right, I missed it. I just probably didn't write it down because I have my list. So it will be on the next agenda.
Thank you.
That's my fault. I apologize. Barbara? Ed? Juanita?
Brian's mention of the meeting for the Sonoyta Community Building, I'm glad to see that on. I'd like to know when that meeting is.
Well, on that one particular, the one at Sonoyta, then I'll give direction to Danitza to call up Mrs. St. John today to make sure that we don't wait for the next meeting and the meeting does happen in between the 2 dates. And then she can send out an email to everybody and see what the update is, okay? So we'll take care of that right away.
Thank you.
This is a question for you, Brian. Would it be beneficial to make the discussion on the library hours a study session? Would that be of any benefit? Just so that it's a little bit more free-flowing and brainstorming as we...
That would be fine with me.
Okay.
If it's okay with everybody else. I don't know. It's just...
Let me just give you the formats as some of you are aware. If you want to have a study session, that's fine. The study session, because it's just one item on the agenda, can be held prior to 10:30, from 10 to 10:30, or it can be held after the meeting, let's say 11:30 to 12. It's better that we have it before the meeting because then we can advise the public that we're having a study session from 10 to 10:30. If you would like that, I will work with that. Danitza and Judith, you have to make sure that this room is available for that study session for the next meeting. Okay? And it will be from 10 to 10:30. Then we will have our regular meeting from 10:30 on.
Again, since you brought it up, Brian, I would certainly defer to how you would like to proceed with that. If it's not beneficial to do a study session, then let's not complicate things.
A study session would be beneficial. I believe it's a good idea.
Okay, so then we will have a study session from 10 to 10:30, 30-minute study session. What was this?
The hours of the library.
The hours of the library, okay? We'll have that as a study session. So please put down on your calendars that the study session for the next meeting, which is scheduled for April the 13th, we'll have the study session at 10 o'clock, and the regular meeting will begin at 10:30. So there'll be two sets of agendas that will be provided. Okay? All right, the date of the next meeting, I already went over that. At this time, I'm ready to adjourn the meeting, Nan. Oh, go ahead. Did I miss you?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I'm
That's all
sorry.
right.
Go ahead, Nan.
Yes, I think I had also requested an item to do an update for this meeting, to do an update on the audio books access
Yes,
on our website.
The Audible.
The Audible.
I saw that, and that got my.
That's okay.
We already put that down for the.
Yeah, that's perfect. And also, I had a few, I'd like to discuss the website access to the different library tabs. In other words, if you want to take out a book, you have to kind of wade through the menu. So I'd just kind of like to have a discussion about how we might improve that.
You have that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So we don't forget anything.
Just website access, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, we're all set? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 10:33. I'm sorry, 11:33.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Motion here by Juanita, second by Nan, to adjourn the meeting at 10:33. Motion carries. Thank you.